any. And there very seldom are any because you're capable of responding to the answer that's going to come through me for what it is you could do to get out of the problem you're having right now. So because you're not ready to get out of the problem you're having right now, you can't afford to ask a question that would get you out of it.
Wow.
And that can take the form of resentment, or that could take the form of I just don't want to ask you, and that could take the form of I don't like you, and that could take, you know, it don't matter. He's just telling us what's really happening. Then he goes on to say, now that you're beginning to shed the concept of the separate self, that means you're ready to believe in the possibility of response, you find yourself more afraid to ask. So all your asking or prayer awaits is your belief in the love without fear that has always responded. So what is my prayer waiting for? What my prayers are waiting for is for me to love what I'm asking for without fear. What your prayers being really answered in a cool way, what they're waiting for is for you to ask for something that you totally desire without fear. So you got one self that thinks it's separated, and it answers your prayers, but you never really enjoy it totally, and there's always some catch-22 that you hadn't counted on. Your loving self answers your prayer when you're finally asking for something without being afraid of what you're asking for, because it's really what you want. So your loving self responds to prayers that are based on love that you don't have. It. You know, I got this. If I want a relationship, I really need to ask for it in love and not be afraid to have a loving relationship. If I want a healing, then I have to be sure I really want to be healed, and I'm not afraid of the healing that I say I want. And you can, to me, you can work the truth into your practical, everyday dream world, which would be, if you want a better job than the job you have now, then you need to pray for one without being afraid of having it. You see the difference? The loving self is waiting for you to ask for stuff without fear. Your separated self is answering your prayers by always never satisfying you with whatever you get completely. So whenever your separated self answers your prayers, you can always tell when your separated self has created the answer of one of your prayers, because when you get whatever it is, you ain't satisfied. Okay, that's how you can tell when your ego just answered your prayer. You will get it. It's the greatest relationship in the world, but I just need to tweak it right over there, and when I get it just right over here, it'll be the perfect. Oh, that's the wonderful car, but the carburetor just needs to be a little bit bigger for me to really enjoy it. When your ego gives you something, you never just appreciate it completely, without fear. Yes. Good.
Okay, so fear is ego.
Fear is ego.
Fear is ego.
Fear
Because
is ego.
everything you're saying to me, I can completely embrace and say, yeah, I won't ask for it because I'm too afraid for the answer.
Isn't that great? But you know what's cool about recognizing that? You begin to realize it's not that God or the universe is denying you anything. It's that you yourself are blocking it because you're afraid to have it. That's different. It's different. It's a difference between knowing that you have a $1 million check waiting for you in the office, but maybe you're just trying to figure out how to get there, than knowing that there's not a $1 million check at all. Some people think there's not the possibility of them having real love and real happiness really at all. You know it's possible to have, but you also know you're afraid of it, and so therefore you don't respond, which means you don't do the simple things that you would have to do in order to have it, because the truth only asks simple things. When something comes to you from your ego, you can always tell, because if it comes to you from your ego, it's going to seem like a complicated situation. And wherever you say the word, this is complicated, you're saying this is where my ego is in charge. This is where my separated self is in charge. This is where the part of me that doesn't know God is in charge. The code name is complicated.
Even when I say I like complicated.
Yeah, and the truth is we do like complicated. One of the biggest challenges of teaching the course of love and the course of in miracles is that they both teach very simple concepts, and we're educated to think that the more complicated something is, the more valuable it is. So a lot of people stop coming to this class just because they say it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, and I am. Because you think how much you hear the opposite all day long, and this little hour we spend a week to hear something different is nothing, actually.
Yeah.
It's like we patting ourselves on the back for an hour, but that's really kind of pathetic.
Yes, sir.
That I only devote an hour to my own sanity. But I shouldn't feel guilty about that. It just goes to show how little investment and belief I believe in the right for me to be peaceful. And then we're always going to give ourselves those moments after we take care of stuff. And when I get through taking care of everything, then I'll have that moment for meditation, prayer, joy, fun, connecting. That's so backwards to having it. It's ridiculous. Whenever you make up in your mind and you see something in your mind and you take it all the way to the end result in your mind, then you're probably not gonna do it because you've already done it in your mind. It's much better to have an idea of something you want, don't know exactly how it's gonna turn out, and just start. And let it reveal itself along the way. You'll do it. Think about how many things in your life you have visualized and imagined that you haven't done anything about, and you wonder why you haven't done anything about it. You haven't done anything about it because you took the whole experience and you saw it through to the end in your mind, which is where everything happens anyway. So if you do it in your mind, there's a part of you that feels no need to go ahead and do it. You've done it. That's why conclusions and a conclusionary existence where you think you have to know everything from beginning to end, is why most people who do that don't do anything, because it's already done. Start now. Don't wait till everything is okay before you start. Or don't. It's okay. So when I get all impassioned and stuff, don't let it think I'm trying to make you do anything. I'm not. I'm just passionate.
I'm still stuck in the ego fear thing. The simple way is just put it down.
Put what down?
The ego.
Yes, but we don't even realize we had the power to do that yet. You know, it's going to dawn on you one day that the only reason why you are afraid is because you're thinking thoughts that frighten you.
Right.
And you'll just stop, and then your fear will be gone. And you'll be wondering, why did I spend all those years feeling bad when I just could have changed my mind?
I think I just distract myself.
The world is a distraction. The whole world is a distraction. When you want to forget yourself, when you want to remember who you are, then the whole world becomes a classroom that helps you remember. It just depends on what your purpose is. You know, to me, most people are representing the parts of myself that's showing me what not to do if I want to be happy. What not to do? What don't attack? You don't attack. You don't project. You don't control. You don't go off on people. You don't hate people because they're of a different race, color, creed. You know, all that stuff. In other words, everybody in the world, they're showing me what kind of world you live in when everybody thinks they're separate and they believe in guilt and fear and specialness. I'm seeing the world of separation. I'm living in the world that's a reflection of what happens when people think they're separate bodies and not connected to each other. We're seeing that every day. Nobody has to prove to me what happens when you think you're separate and different, and you're a woman and I'm a man, and you're from Venus and I'm from Mars, and you're black, I'm white, and I'm black, and I'm poor. All of those labels and names, that's the purpose of names. The purpose of names is to separate that which is one so that you forget it's just the same thing because you named it all. Names are just a way to make you think we're not one.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I used to have a Course in Miracles class that we all called each other Holy Spirit. We didn't even call each other by our name. We'd be Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, which just means loving spirit. You know, because it was simpler too, because you didn't have to remember nobody's name.
That's good.
You didn't go through that embarrassment of, I don't even know, what is your name? You're the Holy Spirit, you're the loving spirit, that's what you are. Your name is, and like people ask me sometimes about what some of the people in my classes do, and I just draw a blank. I realize 90% of the people that come to my classes, I have not the slightest idea what they do in the world and what they do for a living, or anything like that. You know, and so sometimes I'll find out I've been teaching somebody that's like the dean of a college. You know, and I didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? So you realize that when you don't know, but you feel safe, you're going to reveal more of who you are anyway. And then sometimes when you think you know people around you, you use that as an excuse not to really reveal yourself. So it's like to my advantage that I don't know the form that you live in the world. So So what does it take to have a prayer answered quickly from love? Who can remember what I said? What would be the condition you have to ask for what you want under?
Not be afraid of it.
Not be afraid of what you're asking for. If you're afraid of what you're asking for, it means you don't want it.
Could you at least be willing to just look at your fear of it?
That's the most important thing you could do. I'm hoping that that's what happens out of the classes that I give. Is that I could do just a 100% 1 hour feel good class. People who do feel good classes have very large classes. But I'm not interested in just feeling good. I'm interested in waking up and letting go of the things that cause me pain. In order to do that, I'm going to have to not feel good sometimes.
Yeah.
So I got to the point I don't even care if my classes are large, if I ever become famous or known all around. I don't care. I'd rather have 10 people that come to this class that value what I do than to have 50 people sitting around me that wasn't paying any attention whatsoever.
Right.
Because those 10 people would get a depth of love and truth and commitment from me beyond anything they've ever seen in their life, because you give and you receive. You can't. There's nothing that makes it harder to give than when people don't want to receive.
Oh shoot, that's so.
You know, so you can be so full of stuff you want to give. You've had that experience where you wanted to give love in a situation or attention in a situation, or your heart in a situation, and the person just friggin' could not receive it. And so you were giving them maybe half of what you really wanted to give them because of their capacity. So to have one person in front of me that 100% wanted to receive what I was giving would generate 100% more coming out of me to that person.
And 100% coming back.
And coming back. And then you find out that what does it take to receive that 100%? And it was so ridiculous when I realized I had been hearing it all my life. Express gratitude. Just let the person know you're there and that you appreciate what they're doing and that you're open and that it's valuable to you. And you'll see a connection happen that'll blow your mind. So I want to ask for love without fear.
Yes.
I want to have my prayers answered by only asking. Here's the easy way you do it. The easy way you do it is this. Just ask for what you really want. How can you know you're not asking for something you really want?
You don't have one.
It won't come.
You what?
It won't come.
Okay, but how do you know at the very moment you're asking for something that you're asking for something?
Or your fear.
Because you're asking in fear. So if you say, I want a relationship or an